Hello, everyone, and welcome to 0 to 0, a pointless football podcast for fans and non-fans alike. Where we pit someone who knows a little bit about football, that would be me, Fixxxer, against someone who knows a little bit about football by now, Tulkas, perhaps, maybe?
I know that certain teams can fly and certain teams cannot. Also, rejoice.
See, and I bet you that won people over at Thanksgiving dinner, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. I was like, yo, the teams can fly. The Rams can fly. Like, how can you fight the Rams? They're just flying around going.
Well, you should be happy to know that you have beaten me last week.
I did?
You had one of your best weeks of the season. You had your second best week of the season.
Hi. Oh, yeah, because I remember I saw that the Jaguars beat the Colts, and I was like, no, but also, yeah. And I think I won the Cowboys one too, maybe.
So I was 9-7, and you were 11-5.
Dang.
Not too shabby.
Did Diesel help me out?
What did Diesel pick? Yes, he did help you out.
Hey, my man! Woo! Give it up for Diesel! We need to clap. No, Fixxxer, we need to clap for Diesel, okay? Clap, Fixxxer.
I'm giving him a golf clap.
Okay, good talk.
First game of the week, Thursday Night Football, the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tennessee Titans. Looks like the 2017 Jags showed up as they shut out the Colts 6-0. Dominant defense may be back, perhaps. The sad offense is still there, though. The Titans, they beat the Jets in what was a closer game than probably should have been. Obviously, if the Jags can repeat their performance from last week, they're going to win. Shutting down a strong Colts offense is a big deal. But I won't believe they're back until they can shut down another team or two. I'm going to go with the Titans.
Yeah, the Titans are going to stomp. They're going to be like, boom, boom. Also, I think that now that the Jaguars have benched Bortles, it's only downhill.
Is it? Well, it could be. It could be. All right, New Orleans Saints. This is Sunday afternoon games. New Orleans Saints at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dallas delivered the Saints their second loss in fairly convincing fashion through fundamental defense. They actually won the turnover battle, too. Teams will look to this as like a blueprint on how to beat the Saints. Hence, slow down Drew Brees. But easier said than done. For the Bucs, Winston had a good game in beating a Panther team that has lost 4 games in a row, picking off Newton 4 times, which appears to be the game changer this time around. Live and die by the turnovers. So I don't think the Saints will have any issue with this defense as Breeze doesn't turn it over like practically ever. So Saints win.
Yeah. So yeah, So the Saints. Did they win last time?
They got beat.
No, they lost
week.
last time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that really surprises me because you see, last week Fixxxer didn't include in his like Sammy thing, but see, the last week the Saints were represented by a dude who was a Roman centurion, and he wore a cape, and that cape is where the word chapel comes from, and he was like a centurion helping the poor or something, and he was like rad, and he was like fighting for the Saints. Then the Cowboys beat the Saints, and that means that the Cowboys are more powerful than the Roman Empire. That's like, whoa. So Diesel's going to be a happy little guy. Also, search Tundra Detroit Zoo in case anyone cared about that. I don't know why they would, but they can. And I made a joke about lumber that Fixxxer didn't think was funny. And the patron saint of pirates is Saint Nicholas, who is the patron saint of sailors, merchants, archers, repentant thieves, children, brewers, pawnbrokers, and students in various countries around the world. He resurrected 3 children who had been murdered and pickled in brine by a butcher planning to sell them as pork during a famine. And he was like in like the Netherlands, and like there's a legend about how he like brings people oranges during the winter from Spain. And then like it was a festival called Sinterklaas, and then that turned into Santa Claus. And it was the whole thing. I'm not entirely sure why he's a patron saint of pirates, but according to the internet, he is. But all the same, I think that the Buccaneers, like, this is the whole pirate thing, like you're just, I guess it was more of a Viking thing. I don't know, but like you go ashore and you pillage the monastery and then you leave. Like the Buccaneers, they're godless folk. They don't worship Neil. They just do their own things. Yeah, I reckon the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What's Santa Claus going to do? I mean, come on, he's Santa Claus. How can you imagine Santa Claus doing glorious battle with the dudes?
I do know of one instance where he slaughtered all his reindeer and elves.
What?
So wait, so Saint Nicholas has all these responsibilities?
Yeah, well, the Saints, they all have their things. Right, I forgot you worked for Santa in the sweatshop. Well, Fixxxer the elf. Oh.
So you picked Tampa Bay, all right.
Yeah, they just go ashore, they plunge in the monster, and they leave. I mean, I guess the Buccaneers. Would the Buccaneers do that? I mean, there weren't really monasteries in the Caribbean. Oh, this is difficult. What do you... Fixxxer.
I already made my pick. You know what I want.
Yeah, you think that the Saints will win, but I mean, the Saints lost to the Cowboys. And I mean, no offense, Diesel, but they're from the South. They're from Texas. And everyone knows the Texans are the lamest people on the planet. Like, if they lose to the Cowboys, and like, I don't understand. Like, how can you be the Roman Empire and lose to Texas?
Well, remember the Alamo then.
Yeah. You've lost to the Alamo.
But they fought hard and strong.
Yeah, well, okay, remember the Alamo. How about remember Masada? The Jews hold up in a fortress like 5 billion feet up, and the Romans build a ramp to get to them, and then they all kill themselves. You forget the Alamo. Masada is 10 times more Masada than the Alamo. You suck. The Buccaneers are going to ruffle stomp the Saints. The New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills. Once again, the Jets, all sense, look non-existent.
Wait a minute. Did that happen in Texas as well as the Alamo?
No, it happened in Judea.
Oh, okay. Because I could have sworn it happened in Texas then.
Masada?
Or else why would we be talking about it? Why would the Texans care?
Okay, because we're talking about the Roman Empire. See, the Saints are channeling the Roman Empire through former Roman army soldier, whose name I forget. And the Roman Empire fought the Jews at Masada, a hilltop fortress, in a similar way to how the Mexicans fought the Texans at the Alamo. And therefore, we're comparing and contrasting the Cowboys' loss at the Alamo to the Roman victory at Masada.
But the Texans didn't give up.
Yeah, and the Jews didn't give up either.
You said they all killed. You said they killed themselves.
They killed themselves rather than give up. If they had stayed alive, they would be sold into slavery. But they were like, "No, we're not selling into slavery. We're going. Screw you, Romans. We're going to kill ourselves."
Mm-hmm. All right, New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills. Once again, the Jets offense looked non-existent outside their kicker, who had 5 field goals. Crowell had his 100 yards, but no one else had squat on the team. That's not enough to beat the Titans. And this week they play the Bills, who barely lost to the Dolphins last week. Josh Allen ran 9 times for 135 yards. It's pretty clear this dude sees the running lane well and he can hit it. Unfortunately, he's a quarterback. Anyways, they put up 400 yards versus the Dolphins 175, and they still lost. Why? Yeah, you guessed it, turnovers. I don't think they have any reason to fear the Jets, though. Bills will win.
I'm curious at why the Jets have been performing so poorly, because you would think that they would have air superiority, they just nuke everything or but apparently they don't do well. I guess there's a lot of teams like the Jaguars and the Bengals that are able to just blend into the undergrowth and then they can't hit them. I don't know, I'm still kind of surprised though, but I mean, there's probably some factor here I'm not considering, but I just have to give it to the Jets, I'm afraid.
The Jets it is.
Imagine not knowing about Masada.
All right, Atlanta Falcons at the Green Bay Packers. So, let's start with Green Bay finally firing McCarthy. If you watch football shows and whatnot, you constantly hear what a good coach McCarthy was. I'm shocked so many of them said this past week. Watching, they have this really strange look about them on how shocked they are. But fans that watch and know the game know that McCarthy has been an issue, not this year, but for many years. And he's been holding Rodgers back. I think a lot of fans feel that way. Anyways, and it was losing to the Cardinals that triggered the management to make the change. He's gone. Coaching duties fall on to offensive coordinator Joe Philbin, who doesn't call plays. I don't think he's ever called plays, if I remember correctly. Anyways, he coached the Dolphins from 2012 to 2015. He was 24 and 28 in that span. He's not their permanent solution. He's just there to the end of the season. Look for the Packers to push for Jim Harbaugh after the season. That's Jim Harbaugh of Michigan fame. I think they're going to push hard for them and the Browns. On to the Falcons. Matt Ryan was harassed by the Ravens all game long, and the running game had a paltry 34 yards. Hard to win games with just that. Look for Green Bay to play well coming off the firing of McCarthy, and maybe the chains are cut, maybe not. I guess we're going to see. Green Bay wins.
Since we long ago resolved never to be servants to the Romans, nor to any other than to God himself, who alone is the true and just Lord of mankind, the time has now come that obliges us to make that resolution true in practice. We were the very first that revolted, and we are the last to fight against them, and I cannot but esteem it as a favor that God has granted us, that it is still in our power to die bravely and in a state of freedom. And you say they gave up. Anyway, the Packers shouldn't have any ranged weapons, so I think the Falcons will win.
Was that a story about the meat packers of the Wisconsin?
Yes. Also, there's a link for you to put in the description.
Nice. Okay. New England Patriots at the Miami Dolphins. The Patriots took care of the Vikings last week, racking up plenty of yards while they were at it. The Dolphins took care of the Bills, somehow winning despite having only 175 yards to the Bills' 400 and only 2 of 9 on third down. They won the turnovers, though, and despite Brady throwing his first pick last week, he doesn't really turn the ball over. I think the Patriots will win.
So last time these two fought, they fought in Boston Harbor, where the Patriots were able to weaponize tea. We had this whole thing about how tea came in bricks. And, they dumped the tea into the harbor, and I guess the tea poisoned the Dolphins. I'm not really sure how it worked. But anyway, this time, the Patriots have to fight in Miami, and they will not control the harbor because of the 15 colonies in what would be later the United States. The West and East Florida were the only two out of the 15 that did not revolt and join the 13 colonies in their secession. Rather, they remained loyal to Great Britain. Spain managed to take over West Florida during some fighting during the Revolutionary War, and then after the war, Great Britain gave East Florida to Spain in exchange for being able to keep Gibraltar. So yeah, I just can't imagine the Patriots just invading Miami to fight the Dolphins. So I just have to give it to the Dolphins. Woo-woo. Also put that link in the description. It'll teach everyone about the history of Florida.
All right, will do. Baltimore Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. Lamar Jackson had a rough game for the Ravens, coughing the ball up a few times. But you can afford a game or two like this when you have the Baltimore defense. The news out of KC is that star running back Kareem Hunt was exposed in a leaked video to TMZ, him assaulting a woman. The Chiefs wasted no time and released him like an hour later, something we have never seen done to a star player before.
Woo!
Yeah. So kudos to them. Mahomes had 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in classic Mahomes fashion. This offense is so well built. Their defense, not so much. They gave up 33 points to the Raiders. So here we are. I call it trap game. All right, so maybe not fair to use the word trap when you're talking about a good team like the Ravens. But I get the feeling that people will pick KC without even thinking twice about this, really. Baltimore still has to worry about the run as Mahomes can run. And we can probably expect some trick plays, perhaps, from Tyreek Hill. They got to make up for Kareem Hunt somehow. Their pass defense is great, too, and should be able to slow down Mahomes down. That is the Ravens' defense. Maybe not stop him, but enough to give the offense a chance. And Lamar Jackson needs to not have a bad day. If he can put up decent numbers and not turn the ball over, they'll win. And I think they will. Ravens in an upset.
Distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my book surcease of sorrow. Sorrow for the lost Lenore. The rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. Ravens win.
Lovely. All right. Indianapolis Colts at the Houston Texans. Luck had his worst game in a long time, being shut out by the Jaguars. He had 250 yards, but no touchdowns and an interception. And they rushed for just 41 yards. They were just 5 of 18 on third down. They kind of got dominated. Their defense played as well as you could ask for, though. They never thought Luck would get shut out, I guess. And now he faces a Texans team whose defense has been more consistent than the Jags, but has a lower ceiling, I would say. Watson didn't have gaudy numbers, but he got the job done last week. They won the game through turnovers, winning that battle 4-0. This should be a good game. I think the Colts will bounce back and play well, but I'm going with the Texans.
Pence versus Perry, Braun versus Cruz, the ultimate matchup of the century. It's me versus Fixxxer. It's like everything that I stand for, that capitalism, that my essence is, against everything that I am not. This is going to be sick. This is ever going to be sick. But we're going to... Fixxxer's abuse has long been unchallenged. Now it will be challenged. Now we will defeat him and it will be glorious. I win.
Does that mean Indianapolis wins?
Of course. We all win. We are Hoosiers. You bully me, and so they will take revenge.
All right, next up, New York Football Giants at the Washington Redskins. Giants played a well-balanced game in beating a good Bears team. Manning didn't have a great day, but he did enough. This was all on Barkley and Beckham Jr. Barkley had one of the best runs of the year where he rumbled and stumbled for a 28-yard gain, or was it 29 yards? I think it was 29 yards, to set up the game-winning field goal at the end. The Skins, they are going with Mark Sanchez after McCoy suffered a leg injury. Yep, Mark Sanchez is in the NFL, and the numbers he put up against the Eagles shouldn't surprise you, Tulkas. Does it surprise you?
No. Did he say Eagles or Engels?
Eagles.
I thought I heard Engels, but I'm probably just hearing things. I'm tired.
On a high note, Adrian Peterson had a 90-yard run, the longest of his career. Also, what shouldn't surprise you is that he admitted to a reporter that he still switches his kid. And when it got reported, he got pissed off and said he understood it to be off the record. Sorry, buddy, expose the assholes. Giants win.
So this brings us back to another conversation that y'all probably missed last week. Is I was like, yo, Fixxxer, the NFL does some pretty bad things. And he was like, yo, Tulkas, that's why I don't support them. And I was like, yo, Fixxxer, you're making this whole podcast thing, which is basically advertising for the NFL. And he was like, yo, Tulkas, I'm a very conflicted individual, and I am morally gray in 50 Shades of Grey, and the Giants will win.
All right. Glad that helps the Giants win. Sunday afternoon game, Cincinnati Bengals at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers beat the Steelers last week in a close game that was won with a last-second field goal. My criticism of the Chargers all season was all their wins were against bad teams. Well, not anymore. They can beat a Tier 2 team, what about teams like Kansas City, New Orleans, the Rams, the top tier? Can they beat those? They see Kansas City in 2 weeks, so I guess we're going to find out. The Bengals are awful. I don't really have much to say about them. Chargers win.
Yeah. They aren't going to be fighting in the Bengals jungle this time. They're going to be fighting on the plains of Los Angeles. Los Angeles has plains, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever been to Los Angeles?
No, I've been to San Francisco.
Whoa, that's so cool. You're well-traveled. Anyway, so yeah, it's going to be like the opening cutscene trailer thingy for Age of Mythology of the Titans, where you're like, yeah, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then the Chargers will like impale them. It'll be fun.
Denver Broncos at the San Francisco 49ers. Keenum did well enough to win. Low numbers, but no turnovers. With him, it's all about the turnovers. Lindsey had a great day on the ground, rushing 19 times for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. For the 49ers, Mullins looked better than his last outing. He had 400 yards with 2 touchdowns and an interception against a good Seattle defense. San Francisco can't force turnovers, though, and Von Miller, I think, will terrorize Mullins. Broncos win.
Yeah, I reckon the Broncos are going to ride the 49ers as if the 49ers are horses. They're just going to go like a big piggyback ride all around San Francisco, and they're going to be like looking for like gold, and they'll be like looking for gold, and then the Broncos will pull up knives and stab them in the arteries. It'll be fun.
Wonderful. Detroit Lions at the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals got away with murdering Mike McCarthy. If you look at that box score for the game, you can see why. Rosen's favorite target, Christian Kirk, he is done for this season. I think it was a leg injury. I don't remember exactly. Looking at the rest of their schedule, they may be able to pull off perhaps one more win, maybe, but that's it. The Lions, they seem to have slowed down Goff last week against the Rams, but they got massacred by Gurley. Pick your poison against the Rams, man. Anyway, they won't have those issues this week. Lions win.
Yep. So this reminds me of a cat I knew named Ruby, and then I had a laser, and I like point the laser, and Ruby will be like darting all around. So it's going to be like the Cardinals will be like lasers. They're going to be all like red and flitting around, and the Lions are going to be like, "Ee, we're going to chase the laser." Then they're going to chase the laser off a cliff. It's going to be fun. Cardinals win as always.
Cardinals win. I gotcha. All right. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Oakland Raiders. Raiders made it a game against Kansas City, so I guess we got to give them credit for that. David Carr. David? I don't remember which one this is. Which one is it? I think it's Derek.
Derek!
Had almost 300 yards, throwing 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. They couldn't get to Mahomes, though, at all. Steelers lost the last-second field goal to the Chargers as Big Ben threw 45 times. Connor went down with a leg injury, and the word is he's out this week. I mean, the Raiders gave the Chiefs a fight. Yeah, lost by 1 touchdown. So perhaps it's possible against the Steelers, maybe. Anyways, Oakland's defense is just too bad, though. I'm going with Pittsburgh. Just don't be shocked if it ends up being a trap game.
Steelers! Woo!
That's it? Is there any particular reason why they're going to beat the Raiders?
Well, because, I mean, the Raiders are used to, hit and run tactics, but the Steelers will be able to, like the Raiders don't really have weaponry powerful enough to punch through the steel arming coating, whatever, of the Steelers. So, I mean, what are they going to do? They're just going to be like, oh, we're Raiders, bumbling around, be like, oh, we're underrated, and the Steelers are just going to be like, well, and then they're going to punch them, and it'll be cool.
Roger. All right. Philadelphia Eagles. Roger. At the Dallas Cowboys, Dallas put up an impressive upset against the Saints. Their defense was dominant, and Van Der Esch is looking like a legit first-rounder. Prescott still fumbling, though. Fumbleina needs to fix this as he's at 11 this year. They face the Eagles, who managed to beat a hapless Redskins team that played Mark Sanchez. Wentz is having like one of the quietest great years I've seen. If the Cowboys played like they did last week, they should win. And it's hard to replicate that, though. Ertz versus Van Der Esch should be a fun watch. I'm going to go with the Cowboys, but I think it's going to be close.
The Cowboys can lasso the Eagles. Diesel. Woo!
So you're picking Dallas?
Yeah.
All right. Los Angeles Rams at the Chicago Bears. This is the Sunday night football game. Goff was stopped by the Lions, but Gurley ran all over them. Hard to stop such a dynamic team. The Bears will put up a better fight and certainly have the ability to stop Gurley. The Bears want to bounce back after losing to the Giants. Trubisky is rumored to be back this game. I'm not sure if it's been confirmed at the time of this recording, though. It's going to be a good game. Don't count the Bears out at all. I think I'll go with the Rams. Trubisky needs a week to get back into it before I start picking him again. Rams win.
The Rams can fly!
What's with you with all these short 5-word picks here?
I mean, we've been 14 weeks into this. I mean, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? I mean, the Rams. What can the Bears do? The Bears are going to be like, blah, blah, blah,
we're 14 weeks in, but this is the first time the Rams are facing the Bears.
Yeah, but the Rams can fly, and they can just go and punch right through the Bears' bodies, with their horns of sharpness, or what do you? I don't understand, Fixxxer. What more do I have to say than the Rams can fly? I mean, the Rams can fly is the only fact pertinent to the discussion because the Rams can fly and the Bears can fly.
All right, Monday Night Football, Minnesota Vikings at the Seattle Seahawks. Wilson had 105 yards.
There's so for this one, I want to have some ambient music. Can I do that, please? Please.
Maybe.
Okay, so you do your thing, and I'll have some like sick background music. Okay.
So wait, ambient for you?
No. So it'll be like, talk.
Wilson had 185 yards and 4 touchdowns in beating the 49ers. They're playing very well. The Vikings, however, are not. The Vikings are so much better on paper than a team that went 13-3 last season. Injuries are a factor, but they're straight up playing worse on defense. I keep waiting for them to quote-unquote wake up, but I'm not sure that they will. They're out. They aren't out of it yet, but they need to beat the Seahawks in Seattle. It's going to be a tough game. Their linebackers need to be ready for Wilson. Seahawks are just playing much better. I'll go with Seattle.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how atmospheric was my background track?
It was highly distracting and not atmospheric at all.
But it's the Norse theme from Age of Mythology. It's appropriate.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
It conveys. Oh, you're bullying me. Anyway, I reckon the Vikings are going to win. Like, I think this is the big problem I have with this series, is that I always overthink things. I'm like, oh, well, if the Vikings are versus the Seahawks, like the Seahawks, surely they would only engage if they had some chance of winning. I'm like, so how can the Seahawks win? I don't know how the Seahawks are winning. I mean, the Vikings, like, they just have armor. They can just hide behind the shield. I mean, what are the Seahawks going to do? So, and then I'm like, but the Seahawks have to do something. So the Seahawks have to do something. But maybe the answer is really the Seahawks can do nothing. So, yeah, I just need to go with basics. Like, the Viking versus the Seahawks. Like, how is the Seahawks going to win? How is it going to win? Tell me.
Have you seen the beak and the talons of a Seahawk? They could rip your eyeballs out in seconds.
Okay, Seahawks win.
Oh, glad I sold you. All right, featured game this week. This is a Sunday early afternoon game, the Carolina Panthers at the Cleveland Browns, and this is going to be one of the more interesting featured games this week. How does that make you feel, Tulkas?
Oh, I like interesting games. I mean, they're all the games have been super boring so far, but 14 weeks in, we finally get an interesting game. Get hype.
I get the feeling that most people are curious as to how the Browns got their name. I know that you were at one point.
Oh, well, I'm still curious.
This actually has an interesting story to it. In 1945, a fan submission contest was held and the name Browns won, but nobody knows why. Some feel it was because the first coach/manager of the team was Paul Brown, who is a legend. But others feel the name was submitted in honor of Joe Louis, whose nickname was the Cleveland Bomber. Don't underestimate how big Joe Louis was back in the day. But no one knows the actual reason why the name Brown was chosen, because it was done by thousands of fans. Anyways, Paul Brown actually vetoed the name, and he chose the Panthers instead, which is kind of funny since we're playing the Panthers this week here. However, he was threatened with a lawsuit by someone who owned the name Cleveland Panthers, so he gave up and just went with the Browns instead.
So, is this Joe Louis guy? Is he like the primitive Timothy McVeigh?
What? No.
Timothy McVeigh said he was a Cleveland Bomber.
No, Joe Louis was the Cleveland Bomber.
Oh. Yeah, Joe Louis was the Cleveland Bomber. So then Timothy McVeigh was the Oklahoma City Bomber. So
yeah, things were different back then. We didn't really have that kind of stuff going on with bombs. Although the biggest school shooting in history wasn't a shooting at all. It was actually bombs. Did you know that?
Columbine?
Nope.
No, okay.
Bath, Michigan.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah.
So how many people did Joe Louis's bombs kill?
Quite a few. Anyways, 1995, the Browns moved to Baltimore and changed their name to the Ravens. I've never seen a more hatred for a team owner than I did for this move. Of course, the Ravens went on to win the Super Bowl, and the Browns returned in 1999 to be a completely crappy team once again. The new team is giving fans hope, though, so who knows? Something the Browns fans are afraid of is hope, so maybe they'll get a winning team out of it. Anyway, Carolina.
And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more."
This is a different team.
Ravens.
Yeah, this is the Browns.
But you said the word Raven.
I gotcha. Carolina, they also have an interesting history. Terry Richardson once played for the Baltimore Colts back in the 1950s. There you go. He used his championship bonus from 1959 to co-found Hardee's. Do you like Hardee's, Tulkas?
I don't know that I've ever been, actually.
And now he is rich as hell. He announced a bid to bring a team to Carolina in 1987, and it took until 1993 for him to actually win that bid, and they began play in 1995. The team president chose the name Panthers because they are powerful, sleek, and strong.
No. I do have a story about Hardee's. Okay, so I was with a group going to the Wake Forest, North Carolina, for the National Junior Classical League convention therein. So it was me and a bunch of other classics nerds on the school bus. We were going through like West Virginia, the Smoky Mountains, and we stopped off for lunch at a Hardee's. So like the whole people like went in and they ordered Hardee's and they sat down, and then like I didn't really want anything to eat, so I was just sort of reading my book nearby. And then like a worker there came up and rapped on my table and was like, "You didn't order anything?" I was like, "No." And she's like, "Meh." And ever since then, I hate Hardee's.
Wow, just like that, you hate Hardee's, eh?
Yeah. Never forgive, never forget.
All right, let's talk about the game. Cam Newton put up 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he also had 4 interceptions to lengthen their losing streak to 4. On the bright side, McCaffrey had a good game, too. They just lost the turnover battle. The Browns, they lost to the Texans to show they just aren't over the hump yet. Mayfield keeps putting up plenty of yards, but he had 3 interceptions to go with it. And you know what? That's pretty much fine. Probably even good. This dude is balling out and testing the limits in the NFL. And when you push the limits as a rookie, you're going to throw some interceptions. Now, if he had only 100 yards instead of 400, I think we have a different story. Anyways, so don't take these interceptions to heart. He's still learning. Browns kicked Panthers while they're down, and they're going to win. Oh, and look for the Browns to try to convince Jim Harbaugh to come back to the NFL after the season.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is again with my old overthinking thing. Like, I've been trying to think about, like, what properties can the color brown have that can allow it to triumph over such versatile opponents? But no, the Browns are just bad. The Panthers
you could go the route that they are named after Joe Louis and run with. You know who Joe Louis is?
Yeah, he was he was Timothy McVeigh before Timothy McVeigh.
No. He was a boxer.
Yeah. No, he was a bobber. You said he was a bobber. He bobbed.
Cleveland
or Cincinnati. Yeah, Cleveland. Yeah, he bobbed. Oklahoma City. Fun tours. But yeah, Panthers are going to win. They're going to pound on the poop. They're going to shred the poop. Also, this week, my boy Diesel can choose, because he did so well for me last week, I'm going to let him choose any team he wants in the whole thing to choose and correct and do his little Diesel magic with his little Diesel paws.
Wow, you're just expanding his power, aren't you?
Well, but we can only do one, because, I mean, if he could do all of them, then that would sort of defeat the point of the podcast.
All right, that's it for this week. We'll see you guys again next week. Thanks for watching or listening, and we'll see you. Bye-bye.